I've done a lot of shows now, and I found two demographics that really gravitate toward this product. I have kids aged probably 4 to about 14 that use my toy as a construction toy, as an art toy. But then there's a jump to about 24 and up that use this as a desktop fidget toy. That was a market that I wasn't pursuing at all, but here we are.
Welcome to the B2B Breakthrough Podcast. We're here to bring you all the best knowledge, insights, and strategies from e-commerce experts, successful business owners, and the team at Alibaba.com that you'll need to grow your business and achieve your next big breakthrough. I'm your host, Sierra Cristo. Welcome back to B2B Breakthrough. It is a beautiful day here in New York. The sun is shining, and I'm feeling whimsical because we've got a toy maker on the line. Now, if you've been with the Alibaba.com community for a couple years, this guy may look familiar to you. Jeff Lauber is the creative force behind Marmals, an adorable modular toy fostering imaginative play. He was part of our Will Meets Way campaign in 2023, and so we're touching base to see what he's been up to in the past couple of years. Jeff, welcome to B2B Breakthrough.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's so good to see your face.
Yeah, thank you. Likewise.
All right, well, we'll get into the where are they now portion in just a second, but I want to start us off with a little fun fact. So since September 2023, when we met for Will Meets Way, over 9 million new businesses have registered in the US. So me and my ego, I like to think that a good chunk of those folks are listening to B2B Breakthrough, who are tuning in. And if they're new to the entrepreneurial world, I want to reintroduce them to Marmals. Can you
Yes.
catch us up and give us a little bit of your origin story?
Oh, yeah. So Marmals, got one, happen to have one right here because I'm in my shop.
As do I.
Oh, you've got yours there too. All right, wonderful. Yeah, Marmals, magnetic art toys, color them, draw them, doodle them, write notes, wash it off, do it again. But yeah, the origin story behind this is it was really designed as a toy for my children. I watched them play with magnetic blocks and coloring everything, coloring pages, coloring, the walls. Markers everywhere. So what can we build that will sort of facilitate those two ideas, magnetic toys and imagination, and came up with this little guy here. Originally designed to be a wooden toy, but through a series of, I'm going to say missteps, ended up with a vinyl toy that I absolutely love and adore. Started as a very, very much grassroots effort. Building the brand, starting at night markets and local markets, and just seeing where it could go and getting feedback, making adjustments, and building the toy from there.
That's awesome. And you have a background in industrial design, is that right?
I do. I've designed everything from ceiling fans to slot machines to chainsaws to furniture to stuff for the Olympics. So I took all of that knowledge of designing and manufacturing and was able to create something all for me, or for my kids, rather, I guess.
Yeah, so your kids are a huge inspiration behind this, and they've really helped develop the brand.
Yeah, 100%. My daughter was 2 when I started working on it. My son was 5, my daughter was 2, and we're now 7 years later, and they still play with Marmals. And now they're my research and development team. So any idea that I have, I will 3D print and run it by them first, before I even start talking to factories, seeing what's a good idea, what's not a great idea, what could be modified, what could be changed. And then, they're still a huge inspiration behind the product.
So, as you've designed this as a modular toy, how does that support the selling points of the brand? What is so attractive to your audience in modular play?
It's about creating your own ideas, creating your own vision of a thing. So with the modularity, you're able to construct it however you see fit and design it to make it your own. And I think a lot of people take interest in that aspect of my toys.
And so how, talking about the manufacturing side of that, I think from the Alibaba perspective, we talk about this a lot, the complexities around working with manufacturers around the world and how to maintain that relationship and keep it collaborative. So how has that supported your journey? You mentioned starting, from a wooden toy space and venturing into vinyl. How has the modularity of it come into play as you've considered alternate ways of manufacturing and tweaking and playing, pun intended, with the design of it?
I have explored so many different facets of this design and in different ways to approach the same sort of connection points, whether it be magnets, whether it be hinges, whether it be loops or Velcro or whatever you want to throw at this thing. Like I've looked at all of these different reference points on Alibaba through the different manufacturers and to explore all these different options. But in the end, seeing my kids playing with these magnetic tiles and just the joy of the instant gratification of a piece snapping together, it's like, well, that's really where it's at. I can go down this road of building in hinges that articulate the product, but no, it's magnets is where it's at. So
has your relationship with your suppliers along this journey helped advance the way you're thinking and the overall design from a practical standpoint?
I love that question because you have these conversations with the manufacturers, and the conversations can often lead to new ideas, to facets of their manufacturing processes that you probably don't realize until you have these like bigger conversations. So, I will oftentimes look for manufacturers that have new and unique processes because that gets my brain thinking about like, oh, if they can do this, then maybe they can do this. And so through that exploration and through those conversations, you learn so much more about the manufacturing process. And all these ideas will start to spark and coming up with, a whole new line of toys or offshoots of toys or not even toys, but just like, oh my gosh, I could do this now. So that's what I love about having these relationships with the manufacturers.
Are you able to divulge what some of those discoveries were in the process? Is there like one that stands out to you as we were able to take this jump because I learned this about their capabilities?
Yes, actually. There is another vinyl factory that I was looking at, and their whole process is automated, whereas my original vinyl process was handmade process. And so that got me thinking about the detail that you can achieve in the vinyl is really second to none. And so because of everything's automated and machine driven. And so that got me exploring new techniques using the processes that I already know, but injecting them with this new sort of technology that could be implemented into my line of toys. So it was a very, very much a turning point in my what I already had understood about the manufacturing process of my product.
Are you still working with multiple suppliers or have you been able to streamline it under one?
I work with, oh my gosh, I've got so many factories, probably 2 dozen, maybe more. I like to have eyes on the process. I like to understand how it's built and how it's created. And so I do like to have my fingers in all of that, making sure everything is going smoothly in the way that I see it, and not just sort of you know, here's an idea, make it happen. I want all my hands in the mix.
And so as part of that, it's you managing all of those individual relationships to make sure that it's
Yeah.
highly customized. Wow.
So it does take some time, and it takes sometimes a little babysitting, trying to get things the way you want them. But in the end, it's a product that I'm happy to release to the public. So I love it. I absolutely 100% wouldn't do anything else right now. I absolutely love what I do.
That's a lot on your plate though. So are you a solopreneur? What does your operation look like right now?
Still a solopreneur. Yes, that will be changing soon. I've grown the business. I'm proud that I've made it this far. But yes, it is time for a change. It's time to bring on some new faces, some new folks to help manage day to day logistics and the business side of things. Which as a solopreneur, you have to wear all the hats. And I'm a designer, and I know how to design things. I know how to manufacture things, but the business side of things is a little still new to me, and any help that I can get on that aspect of things would really help push the brand further and faster.
Yeah, well, it helps you focus around what you gravitate towards more and are most passionate about as well.
I would rather be designing toys than doing spreadsheets.
Sure, wouldn't we all?
Right.
I feel that
Right.
one deeply. How long have you been in business? Can you give us that recap? I know we've been talking about the last couple years and what growth, we will talk about what that growth has looked like in the last couple years, but all in all, what are we looking at?
Officially, Marmals have been on the market for about 5 years. I ordered all my parts like 2 weeks before COVID hit. It took quite a while to get those parts in. So yeah, it was at the end of 2020, I believe, is when I officially launched. So it's been almost 5 years now. Yeah.
You said 5 years, and it didn't even occur to me like that's what the landscape looked like 5 years ago. We're 5 years out of the worst of it. And
Yeah. Right. Yeah. COVID was a thing, and that definitely impacted the way, I'm a startup and I'm going to launch during this time. Which, I mean, in my defense, it was
bold.
still like, oh, it might, maybe something will happen. But yeah, it was, the world went sideways 2 weeks after I ordered the parts. So that was
Oh
fun.
my gosh. Yeah, that's a tough time to get something on its feet. But I mean,
It
here
was.
you are. You made it through to tell the tale.
It was, yeah. I think the most difficult aspect was trying to market a product that, I didn't know when it would be released because, everything was, the shipping constraints and manufacturing constraints and everything was shut down or delayed. And so, trying to promote a product that may or may not exist. That was the trickiest aspect of things.
And so at that stage, you were marketing it with a little bit of uncertainty, but where were you distributing? How did you bring it to market for consumers?
That started off as a crowdfunding project, which got the ball rolling enough to get production started and everything. But from there, it was really a jump right to the wholesale space in the toy industry, and that sort of got my footing, showing that this was a viable product that people did want it, and encouraged me to keep going with it.
So, I mean, you certainly did. You persevered. You made it through. There's been a lot of growth since we even last told your story a few years ago. Can you bring us up to speed on what's happened since Will Meets Way? What I know we've got some awards under our belt. What are we looking at?
We've
here?
got a few things going on. There's a few things I can't talk about yet.
Okay. We love a little suspense.
A little suspense, yeah. That'll be revealed later this year. But Will Meets Way was very much a an aha moment for me, because until then, it was me and just sort of like, oh, let's try this. Let's see what happens over here. Let's explore a few different options. But Will Meets Way was that first sort of big swing that I took, and with that, it really opened my eyes to, it's like, oh, this is real now. This just became a real thing. Like, yes, my product is real and people like it, but Alibaba is a pretty big company, and they took interest in the product. It was like, oh, okay. So that sort of lit the fire to swing bigger and keep going and keep going. Just take those big swings, see what happens, and applying to big trade shows and big Comic Cons and just seeing what happens. And it really, really set everything in motion as far as the journey goes, and getting things started for me. So yeah.
I love hearing that. I didn't realize how impactful that was on your side. We love telling your story. I think it's such a great product. It's such a great origin story, and we're big Jeff Lauber fans over here. So
Thank you.
I love hearing that it had that effect on your side as well. It's really cool.
It did. It really did.
So can you talk to me a little bit more about what that trade show experience has been like? All the toy shows you've been to. I know you've got a bunch coming up. So what does that impact, especially in your industry? How does that really set you up for momentum to make a splash in the toy space?
The trade shows, and especially Comic Cons that I do, they ground me as far as like, talking directly with the customer, getting immediate feedback, good or bad. It doesn't matter, but you're getting that feedback. You're getting that those sort of almost raw emotions of people getting the product and opening it literally right in front of my table, and seeing that instant gratification, that reaction from kids and adults that never knew this product existed until 2 minutes prior, and just seeing their faces light up with joy. That is the momentum that keeps me going. Is when you see those happy faces, or you have customers that buy a product one day and then come back, the next day and buy another one. They're like, oh my gosh, they played with this all night. It's that feedback that really helps me personally. Through the roller coaster that I mentioned earlier, the ups and the downs. Those are huge ups. Getting that feedback from customers.
I imagine it's got to be so validating and gratifying to see that in real time.
Absolutely.
Do you have an example of a piece of feedback that you received, someone that really had an effect, had a tangible effect on the product over time?
There's a couple of really interesting bits of information that have come to me actually just in the last couple of months. One being that I was at a Comic-Con. There was a lady that bought, I think, 3 or 4 Marmals. It was a Saturday, and the next day she was taking her family to Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
And I know this because a year later, she came back to my table and she told me her story. And she said that the Marmals that she bought the year before, they made such an impression with her kids that her kids never touched an iPad or a screen the entire trip at Hawaii. So they played with them on the plane, they played with them at the hotel, they played with them on the beach. And that was like, huh, okay, that's pretty cool. Like, my kids, as soon as they're on the plane, it's like, where's my iPad? But to hear that was like, okay, that had quite an impression for 3 individuals. And I'm sure a lot of relief from the parents, like, oh, they're not on the screen. Thank you.
We've talked about how you've been able to expand the line as well. So how have you been able to introduce other elements, other variations of the toy over time? And has that made a splash at any of these shows yet? Have we seen any reactions?
So finally launching these characters next month, and after years of promoting them, and the feedback couldn't be any greater. Like, people absolutely love these things. I have a huge list of pre-orders for the figures, and it's a good feeling knowing that I'm still on the right path, that people still appreciate the work that I'm putting out there.
So you've been able to use the trade show space, the toy shows and fairs and expos as this place to debut even prototypes, the 3D printed ones. So how has that helped your market research? I know we talked about some instantaneous feedback, but what is that reaction to something that is not quite polished and market ready yet? Does that impact the way that folks are interacting and receiving the product?
Yes, I think so. No, it's funny you mentioned that, because at every show that I go to, every trade show, every Comic-Con, every toy show, I've always got my core line of toys and figures and accessories, for sale. However, I always have this one extra thing that I bring to the show just to get feedback on. That market research has been, worth its weight in gold. Just seeing how people react to it. It doesn't have to be fancy. It could just be a, crude model, but just to see what's the reaction.
I've talked about prototyping with a couple other guests on the show before as well, and it's such a crucial part of the product development life cycle. And I think this is such an interesting conversation for me every time, because it really does show that people don't expect polish all the time. There's a touch of humanity behind
Right.
something a little bit preliminary, a little bit rough around the edges, that makes you feel a part of the experience as well. So as you bring that to the table, do you have any reservations about it from a protection standpoint, or is this really feel like a win overall through and through to be able to share something share something with your audience?
Yeah. I mean, yes, there is a certain reservation to debuting a product, but if you're comfortable with it and you feel that you're protected as much as you possibly can be, then go for it. There's a lot of ideas that I'm prototyping that I know aren't groundbreaking, so I don't feel the need to have everyone sign an NDA that approaches my table. But with that said, there are a few ideas that I still hold back, and I will until something more concrete is created. And those ideas I'm gonna hold off on bringing to the table right away. But yeah, for the little things, accessories and expansion lines and stuff like that, I have no problem with showing the nitty gritty, the warts for new products coming out.
I mean, it sounds like your audience and the folks who are coming up to you at these shows are so highly engaged and open to sharing feedback. Tell us a little bit about the audience that you're marketing to. Who is your target demographic?
I've done a lot of shows now, and I found two demographics that really gravitate towards this product. I have kids aged probably 4 to about 14 that use my toy as a construction toy, as an art toy, something to build, something to create. But then there's a jump to about 24 and up that use this as a desktop fidget toy. And that was a market that I was not intending. I wasn't pursuing at all, but here we are. And I see a lot of parents that will, buy one of these for their kids and then circle back next day or even a few hours later and be like, you know what, this is cool. I need one for my desk. So that's the second demographic that really, really gravitates towards this product.
I mean, myself included. I'm sitting here like constantly, for
Yeah.
our audio only listeners. I know you're not enjoying this one as much as our YouTube folks, but it is such a intuitive and helpful fidget toy to have for someone like me who needs to fidget throughout the day.
That's right.
And it's just cozy and fun and whimsical to have in your presence. So I think it's what a fun line of work for you to be in. How cool
Not
is
so
that?
bad. I can play with toys all day. It's not so bad.
No, I mean the flip side of that, I'm going to go stark contrast the most fun parts to the most arduous ones. I know, I'm sorry. Listen, it's a B2B podcast. We've got to talk about the less sexy stuff. How have you been conquering and addressing some of these challenges that we're seeing in supply chain, from tariffs and any other challenges that have come up, in the past couple of years, in the past, frankly, year itself?
The tariff thing, it sucks. There's no way to sugarcoat it. Yeah, as a small business, that was rough when that came around. I remember for the new line of toys coming out, I had everything, like I had negotiated with all the factories, I had all the quotes, I had, everything prepped, ready to go, everything primed. And I think that was March when the tariff thing just started creeping up a little bit. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to wait. It'll hopefully come back down. It kept going up and up and up and up and up. And, that really put a damper on things because I was stuck. So I was put in a holding pattern for about 6 weeks until everything sort of eased back off. And when it finally did, I pulled the trigger, like, go, 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 let's do this. Hopefully this still holds out. But yeah, it was really, really, really scary there for a little bit, for about 6 weeks. And but with that, the silver lining to all of that was that you really started thinking more about innovation and what can be done domestically, or what could be done even in your basement on a 3D printer, and what can I develop. And so I took that as an opportunity to really try to be innovative with the tools that I had accessible to me. And so I did a lot of 3D printing and tried a lot of different ideas. And some of them stuck, some of them didn't, but that's okay. That's how innovation works. So, happy to take those ideas that worked and move them to the next stage and, move them into factory production. So, I think, through the tariffs, as bad as it was, it did have a little bit of a shimmer of hope and innovation.
What does balance look like for you as a solopreneur? You've mentioned that your kids are an involved part of your R&D team, that your family is involved with the brand. But how are you able to achieve balance when there are so many plates spinning at all times?
There's no balance. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of uncertainties. It's a lot of what am I doing? A lot of deep in the weeds, trying to figure things out. But in the end, again, going back to the kids that see this product for the first time and seeing their faces light up when they get one that's everything. That's why I started. That's why I continue to do what I do. So that's the balance. That's the upswing. So you You get both. You see the bad, you see the good, and there's a lot of sleepless nights worrying about tariffs or manufacturing issues. But in the end, when you have a happy customer, that's what matters.
Have your happy customers and your captive audience shared some of their designs with you? That's something I'm curious about, in the social space especially. Have you been tagged in anything that's like really sparked joy for you that you've really enjoyed witnessing?
There have been a few instances where kids have taken the initiative to use my figures for stop animation.
Cute.
Yeah, they've made some videos, and so I'm in Portland. We have a lot of stop animation studios, and so I'm aware of sort of the culture surrounding the stop animation scene. But I never really saw this as an outlet for that. But here you are on social media, and then someone tags you in a video is like, "Look what I made," and they do some really really fantastic work. And she's like, "Okay, I need to pursue that more now because obviously this is a thing that's happening. So how do I push and encourage more of that?"
Is that the kind of reaction that helps spark some of these ideas, these 3D printing expeditions?
Oh yeah, yeah. You see what people have created online, you're like, oh, okay. So again, sort of in the same vein as the manufacturers, it's like, okay, if this is happening, then maybe this could happen. So it's definitely inspiration for me to continue to move forward.
Speaking of moving forward, can you talk to us a little bit about what's I know you've got some travel ahead of you. What's up next for Marmals?
Lots of Comic Cons. The Comic Con space has been really good to me, and next week I'm headed down to San Diego Comic Con. That's kind of the big one, and then oh my gosh, so many Comic Cons after that. It's so much hard work, traveling and setting up the booth and finding help and all this, everything it takes to run a mobile business like that, on the road. Um, but it's so much fun. It's so much fun seeing the talking with the customers, getting that feedback, pushing out a new idea, seeing what happens. That's my life. That's what I choose to do, and I love every second of it.
Well, and just chatting with your booth neighbors at all of these events has got to foster some sense of community in the toy space. So how has that community been, helpful for you, either from, a mental standpoint, just having camaraderie, or from an innovation standpoint? What does that do for you?
Yeah, going back to the solopreneur thing, that's it's really important to have those folks at Comic Cons, those booth neighbors, because I consider these folks my coworkers because I don't have an office with a bunch of people that I can just talk with over lunch or something like that. These are the people that know me, that know my product, and I know them, and I know their product, and it's just a nice community to foster this innovation and new ideas. And most of them are highly creative people as well, so they're always coming out with ideas. It's like, oh, maybe you should do this, or maybe you should do this, and it's like, all right, yeah, that's a good idea. And especially when multiple people sort of come to the same conclusion about a product, like if they both say the same thing, they're like, all right, there's obviously something here that I don't see yet. So that really gets me thinking about the future of the product and new ways to bring something to market.
Has that conversation drifted into the world of supply chain? I know we always have to bring it back to something a little bit less glamorous, but as you talk with these folks, is there a sense of community? Is there a sense of we're in it together when it comes to facing these headwinds that we talked about earlier?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, definitely, most definitely. There's always been conversation about manufacturing, the best protocols, how to get things made, where to get things made. There's always conversations about this, and that has definitely fostered new relationships and new ways to sort of view the same thing. So whether that's moving manufacturing to another country or moving it domestically or whatever, there's always different ways to navigate the manufacturing system.
Well, I want to come back to what's next. We've talked about the trade shows that are coming up. We've talked a little bit about the minimals. Can you talk to me a little bit about what that trajectory looks like and your timing? When can we expect to see minimals on the market?
Hopefully end of August. Yeah, end of August, beginning of September is the timeline for these little guys. Excited about that. Excited about some new products coming out later in the year too that I can't talk about yet. And then there's always going to be a new prototype of something on the table. So if you swing by to one of the shows that I'm at, come by to the booth and you'll get to see something new and hopefully innovative that no one's ever seen before. So.
Let's solicit a little bit of creativity from your audience as well. What kind of challenges have you put out there? Can we challenge the folks to submit a fun design or some animation?
Every customer that comes to my booth, I always encourage them, if they come up with something crazy, something cool, something creative, just tag me, tag Marmals in on social media, and I'm happy to repost because I love seeing all the creativity and all the new ways of thinking, that when you see those people that sort of break that loop and like, oh, look what I created. And that's just like, oh my gosh, why didn't I, that's so great. I love seeing all the different cool creative things that folks have created with my toys.
And who knows, it could inspire a new expansion pack, so to speak.
Oh yes. I've gotten a lot of feedback on new characters to create that way. So it's definitely a thing. But I love hearing it, and hopefully I can take some of those ideas and build them into something real one day.
All right, so we can find you at Comic-Con. We can find you at these toy shows. Where can we find you online if we're not in the San Diego area?
Marmals.com.
All right, I like it. And so we can also follow along on the socials to see all of these launches. Can you hit us with some of those handles?
Yeah, at Love Marmals, pretty much across the board. Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook.
Well, we loved hearing what an incredible community you've fostered, all of the imagination that you've brought into the product line, and we're really excited to see what's next.
No, thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you so much, Jeff, for being on this journey with me today. And we'll stay tuned.
Wonderful. Thank you for having me.
B2B Breakthrough is produced by Alibaba.com. To find out how Alibaba.com is empowering its customers with the tools, services, and resources they need to grow their business, visit Alibaba.com. And then make sure to search for B2B Breakthrough on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you find your podcasts. Make sure to follow us so you don't miss future episodes. On behalf of the team here at Alibaba.com, thanks for listening.